donut.
Ah, get that away from me. Is it poison?
It's chocolate.
DC fever is in high swing right now. And no, I don't mean what everybody had on January 6th. Jimmy Pesto. More like Jimmy Arresto.
Zoom!
I say zoom now, you like it.
Yeah, it's okay.
But no, the streets are abuzz with DC talk because The Flash just came out. Now, I won't be seeing it. Not because I think it'll be bad or anything. I'm just pretty sure Ezra Miller can see me through the screen, and I just can't take that risk. So instead, I'm going to indulge in some classic DC animated goodness. DC has always had a pretty good track record when it comes to cartoons. I mean, it's been almost 20 years since the DCAU ended, and they still haven't topped it. But of course, there's been way more shows than just that stuff. They've dipped into CGI with Green Lantern and Beware the Batman, and they've gotten weird with stuff like The Batman and the Legion of Superheroes. They've even spent over 10 years both delighting and horrifying their audience with Teen Titans Go. Mostly horrifying, but hey, I like it. But outside of the Young Justices and the Brave and the Bolds, there is one cartoon they made that pretty much gets zero buzz nowadays. And saying that out loud makes me scared that this video will flop. Please, prove me wrong. Help me save my pride and my wallet. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the ill-fated Justice League Action. Yep, this show just kind of came and went, and I never got the vibe that it was hated or loved or anything. Just kinda happened. And I never caught it when it was airing, so now seemed like a good time to check it out. So let's find out if this show is worth remembering, and how Zack Snyder might have possibly been the reason for its death. I'm your host and misguided vigilante, D'Angelo Edwards, and today I'm taking my hat off to Justice League Action. Before we get started, today's video is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Yep, that's right. It's the mobile game that's sweeping the nation with an incredibly deep and detailed RPG battle system, awesome graphics, and a seamless combo of both PvP and PvE combat. Raid Shadow Legends lets you join in the battle as one of several champions. If you were to ask me what my top 3 were, I would go with Sissia Flametongue, Kreela Witcharm, and Ursine Ironhide. Look, he's a bear of death! Right now, Raid has launched the epic limited series Raid Call of the Arbiter, and to celebrate, Raid is adding some of the new characters from the series as champions. The first one is Artak, a mighty orc warlord. What's super cool is that Artak is going to be available to everyone for free. All you have to do is log into Raid for 7 days between now and July 24th. If you've seen episode 1 of Call of the Arbiter, you definitely want this guy. And if you haven't seen it yet, what are you waiting for? Go check it out, and then remember to log in for 7 days to get Artak. With all of this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, if you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Use my link in the description or scan my QR code to get insane bonuses. We are talking a epic champion Talia from the Sacred Order faction, and other cool things like XP boost and energy refills. Once you're in and crushing your enemies, come find me under the name Hats Off Media, and if you're fast enough, you can join my clan. So just hit my link in the description, and I'll see you on the battlefield.
It goes ba-bum, ba-bum, bum, click, bum, ba-bum, ba-bum, bum, click, bum.
We need more bad guys to smash.
Bum, click, bum. I be Lord of the Rings, I manifest. Represent from the den, I don't wear no vest. I got a heart in my chest, it goes ba-bum, ba-bum. I sway halfway, the day's hump, get over. I be Lord of the Rings, I manifest.
I'll put a shot to your
system. I don't wear no vest. I got a heart in my chest, it goes ba-bum, ba-bum. I sway halfway, the day's hump, get over. One out the ring, so now you got
Time to bring the thunder. Justice League, action!
Justice League Action comes to us from some pretty big names in the DC space. It was produced by James Krieg, known for his work on Green Lantern the Animated Series, Butch Lukic, who worked on tons of stuff from Ben 10 to Hellboy Blood and Iron, not to mention some DCAU stuff as well, and last but definitely not least, Alan Burnett, who has been a part of almost every animated DC thing put out since the 80s. If anyone was going to make a new show for DC, there are few people I can think of that would be better for the job. Action is kind of a perfect middle ground between the DCAU Justice League and Teen Titans Go. It's an action comedy that really leans more towards the action side, but the tone is always kept light and it never gets too serious.
Why are you doing this? I mean, there's better ways to barbecue than by causing a nuclear meltdown.
Good one, Sparky. Can I call you Sparky?
No.
It's like this, Sparky.
Not the fights though, those are always high octane and full of action. It's almost like a spiritual successor to Brave and the Bold, though it's a little different because unlike those full 22-minute episodes, Justice League Action uses 11-minute episodes. This means the show goes at a lightning pace. You get in, you see what heroes you're following today, the baddie of the week, bam, pow, they fight and we move on to the next. If you go into this expecting an ongoing story or super deep character development, then you might be a little disappointed. But if you want a fun action cartoon that really shows a love for not only DC, but all the animated media that came before it, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Justice League Action follows the Justice League as they fight bad guys, recruit new members, and save the world time and time again. While you have the usual gang here like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, we also get to see some lesser known heroes like Jonah Hex, Firestorm, and Booster Gold.
I thought Batman was gonna be here.
Right? So strange. Hey, you got May, Booster Gold, hero of the future.
I thought you were Animal Man.
They even have my man Space Cabbie, and as soon as I saw him, I knew this show had to be good. All the heroes are pretty well represented here. Superman is a perfect little goober that you can't help but love. Wonder Woman is cool, confident, and indispensable in a fight. And the late, great Kevin Conroy once again took on the role of Batman. And any Batman played by him is a great Batman.
I'm impressed, Batman. You have no mystical abilities, yet you easily defeated my bodyguards.
A criminal is a criminal. Monster or man, they both fall the same.
The group has a really good chemistry with each other, and you can tell that they've been working together for a long time. Batman and Superman still have that buddy-buddy relationship that I love seeing, and any scene where they have to work off each other is pretty good.
What?
Oh, nothing. It's just, you always get to be the bad cop. I thought maybe this time I could be the bad cop.
In this show, Superman is played by Jason J. Lewis, along with like 100 other characters, man. Jeez, I hope that check was fat. And while I grew up with George Newbern and Tim Daly as Supes, I think Jason pulls off Superman's kind yet firm personality really well.
Let's put a little light on the subject.
Sorry. Too bright?
He's good with Wonder Woman too, played by Rachel Kimsey. Most of the time they are just shown as close friends, but in one episode, you see them go on a date. Sadly, a run-in with Lex Luthor and some garlic risotto get in the way of their relationship, but if you're like me, you know the only true way is Wonder Bat. Man, they were cute. Catwoman who? But outside of the main three, we also get to see the expanded Justice League, and these guys range from really fun to just okay. Like, I love whenever Booster Gold is in an episode. I've been a fan of his ever since I first saw him in Justice League Unlimited. Nothing like a cocky jerk with a heart of gold. A heart of Booster Gold.
Zoom!
And as I mentioned before, there's Space Cabbie, who just rides through space picking up anyone who needs a lift, both villain and good guy. He's played by Patton Oswalt, who does a fantastic job giving him such a good fanboy energy, while still making him really likable.
What's... Superman? Hey, you're Superman! Wow! Superman in my space cab!
Drive.
Yes, sir. Where to?
And speaking of voice actors, this show is stacked. Besides the legendary Kevin Conroy, we also have Mark Hamill back, both as his iconic Joker, as well as Swamp Thing and a few other roles. One of the most fun episodes in the show pokes fun at this, and has an entirely Hamill episode with Joker and Trickster, who Mark also plays.
But how?
You were so busy thinking of Mark Hamill as a celebrity, you forgot that he's also a talented voice actor.
What's a voice actor?
Like, geez, do you think that's enough, Mark? He's Hamill, you're Hamill, I'm Hamill? Are there any other Mark Hamills I should know about?
What is it?
It's a crazy episode, but a fun one for sure. You also have Dana Snyder as both Plastic Man and the Penguin. Both great choices.
So, we can work together again?
If I need a shape changer and the Martian's busy.
Did you hear that? Me and Batman, we're like this.
And the really inspired choice of James Woods as Lex Luthor, which just works.
No picking these locks, Lex.
Watch it. I've got delicate skin. I'm a redhead, you know.
But then you have a couple of appearances that feel a bit lackluster. Like, I'm not really a fan of Martian Manhunter in this. He felt a little too one-note, mostly making simple jokes then asking if they're funny.
At least we pulled the plug on this thing.
This is one cool volcano. My attempt at humor. How did I do?
I'm the wrong one to ask.
I know he's new to the planet and all, but they could have cut back a bit with the gag. But for the most part, I think most of the characters are portrayed pretty well. Makes sense though. The show had a bunch of super talented and experienced writers, even including Paul Dini, who of course wrote a good chunk of the Zatanna episodes. Dude knows what he's doing, and I'd be doing the same thing cause Zatanna is just, man.
Her hair is like, wow! And her eyes are like, whoa! And her lips are like, ta-dow! How you like me now?
The team goes on a bunch of fun adventures ranging from fighting a zombie army raised up by Solomon Grundy, going up against an actual nuclear family, and even the League being trapped in a fighting game with all the Street Fighter references you can eat.
I am Batman! I am Batman!
Just getting used to the buttons.
Like I said, while it's not the deepest show out there, Justice League Action consistently provides a really fun adventure to just kick back with, and it makes me really miss those Monster of the Week action shows that could just smash their characters together like action figures. Bring more of those back.
Aw, come on. If I left any scratches, I'll buff them out. Or at least, pay someone else to do it. I know it's generous, but we're both in the billionaire masked vigilante making the world a better place game, so I figure...
While the characters are good for the most part, and the situations are fun, the thing that I think really stands out about the show is its art style and animation. The main character for the show is Shane Glines, an artist whose work I really admire, and I mean I really love it. I have his art book and I take notes. For me, he's right up there with Steven Silvers and Bruce Timm as a master of caricature and stylization. While I'm not a big fan of how Batman looks in the show, I don't know, something about his build seems off, and he needs a yellow belt to break up those dark colors. Every other character is designed pretty well, minus the fact that Superman doesn't have his little underwear. Stop being cowards and put those back. He's cold. This is one of my favorite looks for Wonder Woman. That spiky haircut is cool and gives her more of a tomboy feeling. Poison Ivy has like a little leaf beret, which is just adorable. And then there's Ember, who I just love, cause I mean, look at her, she's great. She's in one episode and I put her in the thumbnail. What does that say about her? What does that say about me?
You're just a freak. Like me.
And any show that doesn't give Jimmy Olsen a bow tie is doing it wrong. Everything just feels so toyetic, but in a good way. These are the type of characters that I would have loved drawing in my notebook at school. And even though I could see people criticizing the style for giving a lot of the characters the same build, it just makes the show easier to animate, and the characters are designed with enough care that I don't think it's a big strike against the show. Speaking of the animation though, there are some moments where the show really pops off, like this this is an action cartoon through and through. I really like that the show used a lot of smear frames. It makes all the movements really snappy and impactful. It also helps hide a bit of the more stiff movements. The budget can't be budgeting all the time, gotta know when to use it. Back to the show itself, it really shows off the love it has for the shows that came before it, especially the DCAU. There's even a whole episode that's a big reference to Batman the Animated Series, with Batman and Blue Beetle traveling back in time and seeing Batman on his first mission. The old theme song plays, the skies are all red, he even does the thing from the opening.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Oh. I thought you said we don't pose.
We're not talking about it.
But I am vengeance.
Moving on.
I am the knight?
We're done now.
It's a really fun episode, and one of my favorites of the series. Overall, the whole show is really fun. Great action, good if not a bit one-dimensional characters, and a great choice for anyone missing the old days of superhero cartoons. So, why did it fail after only one season? Well, there are a lot of reasons for that one, sadly, and while none of them are concrete, I think that they make enough sense to accept for now.
Coffee?
Gah! Don't do that!
I thought you might like coffee. It's good.
Why are you showing me your teeth?
First things first, Cartoon Network barely did anything to promote the show, and I was there. This was 2016, so I was still watching the channel pretty regularly, with stuff like Adventure Time, Regular Show, and Steven Universe still on air, but I don't remember ever seeing any commercials for it. The only reason I knew about this show was the internet. It did have a Happy Meal promotion, but that's not enough. This is a brand new show, it needed a push. But the only push Cartoon Network gave it was one straight into the grave. Besides the pilot movie, every episode of this show aired at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. This was far past the days of stuff like Kids WB and the Fox Box. No one is waking up that early to watch this. And 7 a.m. was for the lame shows back then too. That's when you snuck stuff like The Littles and Will and Do It on TV. You know, the ones that you're supposed to sleep through. I never saw any reruns either, so I think the show only aired once a week, in a very bad time slot. This led to bad ratings, and coupled with the fact that action cartoons were dying off anyway, nothing about this show screamed renew me. But the final nail in the coffin had to be the failure of Justice League in the box office. While this show wasn't directly tied to the DCEU, several changes were made to it to connect the two. That's the reason Superman doesn't have his underwear, and why Wonder Woman has the pleated gladiator skirt. They were meant to look more like the movie counterparts. But with the DCEU making critical stinkers one after the other, with what was supposed to be their version of the Avengers failing to make a profit, then maybe that little cartoon with the shared name that was bleeding ratings didn't look so appealing anymore. But again, none of this was ever confirmed outright, but it's pretty easy to see what happened. A lot of little problems just kept piling on, and the show wasn't popular enough to keep going. So after one season and 26 half-hour episodes, the show's plug was quietly pulled. While the show was cancelled, it still had a few good things going for it. They made 22 shorts to go alongside it, it got its own toy line, and most of all, the team made a really good show, which is definitely the most important thing. And I'm sad I didn't get a chance to watch it while it was still on air. While it didn't have the same level of depth and quality that Justice League and Justice League Unlimited had, it possessed a charm all its own that made me long for a kind of cartoon that hardly ever gets made anymore. While its pace and general light tone might be a turnoff for some, I think that for what it is, it's a great cartoon, and I'm glad that I finally gave it a watch. The voice actors did great, it had really good animation and a great style, and getting to see so many out there team-ups and situations was a blast. Kevin Conroy even talked about how much fun he had taking the serious role of Batman and adapting it to a more comedic comedic type of show.
Does Batman get to share in some of that humor?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because he's so heavy. He's so dark that if anything is ridiculous going on around him, all he has to do is raise his eyebrow and the audience is going to burst out laughing. So there's a little bit of, it's just like a little attitude adjustment, which I loved playing. And I know the other actors did too. And we did a screening today for an audience, and they all reacted really positively to it. So I think the audience is going to really love it.
I think that this show came out way too late, and it would have been perfect as part of the DC Nation block. Though that failed too, so what do I know? Any way you slice it, this was a cool little show that deserved way more. But what do you guys think about it? Was it too silly, too different? Leave a comment and tell me your thoughts. As for me, I'm gonna go check out the episode with Ember and Zatanna again. So get out of here. It's about to get weird.
Now!
And don't forget to check out Raid.